Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of brokerage-realestatecoach.com.
And my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm the co-host and co-founder of the wildly famous and popular podcast, Real Estate Uncensored. But today, Bernice and I together are Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
Okay, Greg, we have a great show for everybody today. It's called 10 Questions That Predict New Agent Sales Success. And we're going to go through the questions first, and then we are going to tell you why each of these questions is such a high predictor of whether or not an agent will succeed. And whether you're a new agent, a broker owner, a manager, these questions, there's reams of research that supports that these questions are the top predictors. So let's get to them. Number one, do you have enough income to support yourself for 6 months with no commission income? Again, do you have enough income to support yourself for 6 months with no income?
Number two, do you plan to work full-time or part-time? Again, guys, do you plan to work full-time or part-time?
Number three, are you willing to door knock and cold call if that's what it takes to succeed? Again, are you willing to get out and knock on doors and cold call if that's what it's going to take for you to succeed in real estate?
Number four, are you comfortable striking up conversations with strangers? Now, this is an important one. So again, got to ask yourself, are you comfortable striking up conversations with strangers?
Number five, are you comfortable with an unpredictable environment where your schedule varies from day to day and where you may have to work evenings and weekends? Again, are you comfortable with an unpredictable environment where your schedule varies from day to day or where you have to work evenings and weekends?
Question number six, do you prefer to communicate with text and social media rather than face-to-face in person?
Number seven, are you a bottom line person who focuses on how a technology strategy or idea will help you get better results in your business? So again, are you a bottom line person and you specifically focus on anything that you're going to do, whether it's technology, a strategy, or an idea, you're focused on how it's going to help you to get better results in your business?
Number eight, do you enjoy learning as a way to improve yourself, including keeping up with technology changes? That's a good one. I mean, do you really enjoy the process of learning to improve yourself, and keeping up with technology? I love that one.
I do too. Near and dear to our hearts for trainers. Number nine, are you actively involved with your community, place of worship, charity, or in other activities that help others? Again, are you actively involved with your community, place of worship, charity, or in other activities that help others?
Okay, we're going to round out our 10 questions. Here's our 10th and final question. Now, don't forget, we're going to go right back to the top and we're going to go through each question again and talk about the meaning. So our 10th questions, what are your income expectations for your first year in business? Write that down. Let's work on that.
Let's go to the scoring right now. On questions 1 through 9, the more yes answers you have to the questions, the more suited you are for the business. Agents who answer 7 to 9 of those first 9 questions, with a yes, are highly likely to succeed. Anyone who scores 4 or less is probably not a good fit for being an agent, but they might function well as an assistant or in some other role in the business. And again, there's no right or wrong here. There are just some people who are better suited for sales than others are. I'm not suited to write computer code. It's not happening. I know you're not Greg. You got
I'm not suited.
That's not happening for you.
I'm not suited to be a speed reader nor a published author. So you know what? I know where my strengths are. It's okay. Like you said, there's no shame in anything here.
Let me give you some background on this. These questions come from multiple research studies. I've been tracking this. I was training new agents starting back in 1989 and have been doing it for a long time. I've been reading up on what works and what's predictive, but these are based upon actual research. It's not Bernice's opinion or Greg's opinion. It is what the research says. So the first one, and this was, we've known this for a long time, kind of intuitively, but 2 studies that I work with the Texas Association of Realtors on, where we interviewed thousands of agents and I think over 250 brokers for each study. But we found the number one thing that prevents agents from succeeding in the business, the number one reason they drop out is that they are inadequately capitalized. They didn't have enough money to go the 6 to 8 months it takes for them to get that first deal in many cases. So that's really important.
All right, guys, number 2, do you plan to work full-time or part-time? This is a very important question you need to ask yourself. If you're going to be thinking about doing it part-time, you might want to wait until what Bernice was talking about, getting fully financially funded. You do need between 6 and 8 months, even reserves, to maintain your lifestyle. If you have a spouse, a significant other, children, or maybe it's just yourself, but whatever lifestyle you're living and enjoying right now, don't take that away from people that you love, and don't take it away from yourself. So take the time, get the cash, then go into this fully ready to rock and roll full time. You're going to show up every day, but you're going to do the best professional work for yourself and for your clients. That is the only way to be a top producer and truly succeed in this business.
And for anybody who's a broker owner or manager, this is really important. When you hire part-time people, you have to put in a lot more effort, and the odds of them succeeding are less than 1 in 20. So is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Question number 3, are you willing to door knock and cold call if that's what it takes to succeed? Now, these 4 questions that we're going to be covering, 3 through 7, are something that you can get an evaluation on by taking a DISC evaluation. I like the one from Target Training International because it has an additional set of factors that are highly predictive of who will succeed. But what we know is that there are 4 behavioral styles. There's D for dominance, and this is, you think this is someone who is, I'm going to, I have no problem taking no for an answer. I'm just going to find another way to get to yes. And, Donald Trump is probably the biggest example of that. The next factor is the I, that's the people. The S stands for steadiness, and those are the people who very loyal. And the C is for compliance, and these are the people who are accountants, they are computer programmers, they're detailed people. So, I want to lay that out before we started to talk about these. So back to number 3 now. So are you willing to door knock and cold call if that's what it takes to succeed? Well, somebody who scores high on the dominance factor, it's like, hey, bring it on. It's just what, yeah, great, talk about it.
When it comes down to that, I have no problem with doing that. That's actually, I've gotten into my business the first year. I came out of college more or less a screwball. And I was out door knocking and cold calling every single day. I would do 50 to 100 doors, and then I'd come in and do 200 to 500 phone calls, and then write 5 to 10 handwritten letters every single day, 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. And funny thing is, I door knocked so much, Bernice, that I actually wore holes in the bottom of my shoes. And I know that because one day it was raining, slightly drizzling, and I was walking up a hill, and my shoes filled up with water. That's how much I knew. When I knew I was doing a little too much door knocking.
That's a great story. But again, if you can't take that rejection that comes along with this business, it is, this business will eat you up and spit you up because you're going to get rejected by all kinds of situations and people.
Well, that's some really good information, Bernice. And number 4, are you comfortable with striking up a conversation with strangers? Now that goes directly what we were just talking about: cold calling, door knocking, at the car wash, you're in the supermarket. My father, Terry McDaniel, has been doing real estate for 49 years. I am not kidding you. That man has never met a person he didn't want to talk to the point he's on an airplane and he will strike up a conversation with the person next to him. They'll be best friends by the time they get off, and they'll exchange information. But just, are you afraid to talk to people, or are you not?
And, here's the kind of takeaway on this. The profile of a top producer in the industry, and I have to say it's been my experience as well, as this combination of the D and I together. In fact, I dare say probably 95% of the very top performers in real estate are that high drive with the high people. They're high people. So yeah, that's it. Never met a stranger, and it's like, get out of the way. I'm going to get this deal done.
So true.
Okay. Number 5, are you comfortable with an unpredictable environment where your schedule varies from day to day and where you may have to work evenings and weekends? And this goes to the S factor, which is steadiness. And about 60% of the population scores high on the S factor. And if if you're someone like my brother who is very, who's very much, He does everything the same time every day, and he hates it when his schedule is disrupted. Real estate's not going to work for you because you're going to get disrupted so many times in so many ways. So, and it's not to say that you can't succeed, because teachers score high on the S factor. And, they're used to writing a lesson plan. They show up on time. They do predictable things. So teachers do very well because they do score on the S factor, but they're high people. So you've got a different combination. High people with steadiness show up, do a really competent job, have a plan. Those things are all associated with real estate success.
Yeah, they really are. And I love the fact that if you just get into this knowing that you're going to be doing some odd hours of working and you love being around people, you'll do just fine. Question number 6. Would you prefer to be out networking rather than trying to figure out how to improve your website?
So, Greg, what this question addresses is the compliance factor on the DISC. These are the people who are detail people. They're often accountants. They can be computer programmers. But if they're hiding out, if they're doing all their communication via the social media or by texting, and they're not getting face-to-face, they're not doing deals, because, the bottom line is you still normally have to go out on that listing appointment and see the property face-to-face. And when you're negotiating, you're not going to succeed at negotiations if you're relying on email or text messaging. You need to get face-to-face. And I don't care if it's on Zoom or if it's in person, but that's a skill that you need to develop to succeed. Now, if you score high on this factor, you may not be someone who is a great salesperson, but you could be someone who makes a stellar assistant, or who can do a contract review, or can help in other aspects of the business. Is that you're just not as likely as someone who's got that DI combination or the IS combination to succeed in real estate. Now, I want to go on to number 7, and this comes from over 25 or 30 years of research from Target Training International. They have administered over 2 million DISC evaluations, and I believe in over 120 countries. We've been using them in our business since the 1990s. And this is the one assessment, in my opinion, that is the best predictor. But number 7 is the Target Training International is the only one that has this additional assessment that's part of their DISC assessment. It's called the Personal Attitudes, Interests, Attitudes, and Values, the PIAV. And there's one of the factors on this which predicts sales success across multiple industries at the 72% level here in the United States. 72% accuracy. And it's called utilitarian. People who have high utilitarian scores do well in real estate and any other kinds of sales business, regardless of what their behavioral style is. And being a utilitarian is a kind of bottom line, practical, okay, well, you've got this great idea about how I can make more money using this new software that you've got. Show me, how's it going to work? Or if you've got a problem in the transaction, you're a good problem solver because you're someone who will look at what's practical. What can we do here? What are the options? These are the people who succeed in real estate. And if you're hiring as a broker, owner, or manager, I'm looking for someone who's a DI with that high utilitarian, or even if they're not, if they have that high utilitarian mindset, they have a very high 72% chance of succeeding in the business. So that's the one thing, this bottom line approach is what makes the difference. And Greg, you know this, how much of our time do we spend in the business solving problems?
The entire career.
Yeah, it's nonstop. It's just part of the.
Yeah. Number 8 is a great one. And I have a funny story about this one. So number 8, do you enjoy learning as a way to improve yourself, including keeping up with technology changes? So I go for runs almost every single morning, and I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to books. And I'm in the car. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to books. I'm constantly, I call it the asphalt university. If I'm out there running or driving, I'm constantly educating myself on something new that's going on.
Okay, let's go on to number 9. Are you actively involved with your community, place of worship, charity, or in other activities that help others? And what we know about many of the agents who succeed is that they have done so by being active in their communities. You know, they are involved, whether, it's their church, synagogue, wherever they worship.
Mhm.
They actively raise money for charitable events. Again, it's a way to connect with people, but being seen out there as someone who cares about the community is really important. And again, that also means, if you're active in these places, that also means you already have a database of people who will be willing to do business with you because you share the same values they share.
You've got to let people know what you're doing, get involved, and be an active community participant. It makes your heart feel good too, just to be out and about and meeting your people and being able to bring a value add to the where you live. Number 10, what are your income expectations for your first year in business? Now, Bernice, you have some fascinating stats on this, and I would love to hear kind of all the studies you've been involved with and kind of where should people's minds be on their first year in business?
Well, I was really surprised from the Texas research that when we looked at all the new agents and how much they had made, it was extremely rare for anyone to make over $25,000 their first year in the business.
Whew.
And this is across the state of Texas. So we have lower price properties with higher price properties, but still, it's a big state. It's very representative of the entire country. And what we know is that even if you sell something your first day, it takes 60 days usually to close it. But you have to have time to gear up your prospecting, to get organized, to learn the inventory. And, this is why you need that 6 to 8 months of reserves in business so that you can get through this startup time. It's like you've opened the door to a new business and now you need to bring in the customers. So let's talk about the scoring very briefly. On questions 1 through 9, anybody who has scored a 7 or higher, they are highly likely to succeed in the business. They're very good candidates. Anyone who scores 4 or less is probably not that great of a fit for being a salesperson. But for example, if you have a profile like you're an SC, you're steady and, and you're high compliance, you might do well running an agent's the computer side of their business, or you might be good at doing compliance for the real estate company, checking the contracts and, looking at the, maybe you handle the bookkeeping for a top agent team because you've got that detailed personality. So again, these are great takeaways. And as I mentioned on number 10, very few agents make more than $25,000 their first year because it takes time to develop your pipeline of leads. The bottom line is if you're brand new, you may want to look at apprenticing with someone. In other words, maybe joining a team or working as an assistant, because that's a way to bring in income and to learn the business. But again, it comes down to, are you adequately capitalized? Are you willing to get out there and generate the leads? And if so, you've got a great chance of succeeding, provided you're a bottom line person who's willing to problem solve and get it done. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next time.